Welcome to Inside Bremerton. This is the City of Bremerton's video newsletter, focusing on issues and topics important to its citizens. We're at Olympic College tonight, and we're in the music building, room 100, and the topic tonight is the Bremerton Symphony. I'm here with Alan Futterman. Alan is the music director and conductor, and Anita Williams, and Anita is the president of the board of directors. Is that correct?
Yes.
I got it all right.
Yes.
I got it all right. So here we are in this cool music building, one of the oldest buildings on campus now because they're doing so much new construction, new buildings, and soon there'll be a new music building on campus. Is that correct, Alan?
Yes. Tell us that in 2 years there'll be a brand new facility here, and we're waiting with bated breath to see what that will look like.
Very cool. So the symphony rehearses here?
Yes, has for many years.
Many years. And so you're going to see some great footage of rehearsal. But first of all, we want to get some background and some information on the symphony, this gem that's in our community. But first of all, Alan, how long have you been with the Bremerton Symphony?
Well, let's see. I first conducted with the symphony in 2009. They asked me to come in and do a couple of concerts on sort of a last-minute basis. I guess they liked what they saw, asked me to stick around a couple more months, at the end of which they offered me a contract, and I've been here ever since. 2009 is when I started.
Excellent. Excellent. Let's have a little bit of history, Anita. Tell us about the history of the symphony, and it is a long one.
Yes, it is. This is our 72nd season. Our very first concert ever was October 11th, 1942. So that's a long history of the symphony. We've had many beautiful concerts during the time. The symphony has grown, and its expanse has spread too. So it's been a long history. The reason it came into existence in 1942 is at the time President Roosevelt, Franklin Roosevelt, put out a call to all Americans to create music in their community as part of the campaign in the war effort and to boost morale and everything. So Bremerton civic leaders came together and started the Bremerton Symphony at that time.
That's very cool. I was really into watching the recent Roosevelt history on PBS by Ken Burns. Absolutely fabulous. I remember hearing just that.
Yes.
Right at the end of the war, and everybody rally, start playing music, do any form of arts in your community. How many members are in the symphony?
Right now we have about 65 members. That's kind of the standing core group. We will expand. That's just the symphony, of course.
Right.
I need to talk about the other, Mr. Corral and other things that you can talk about, but we will use slightly fewer if we're doing a Baroque piece, for example, or if we're doing a massive Mahler symphony or a Beethoven symphony for chorus and orchestra. We sometimes have as many as 140 or 150 people on the stage.
Tell us about who the members are. What kind of work do they do other than play music?
That's actually the wonderful thing about music, is that it brings together people from all kinds of different walks of life.
Right.
We have some physicians in the orchestra. We have a number of teachers. There are many people who are wonderful musicians, decided that maybe music is a difficult way to make a living, and so they became teachers. They're excellent teachers, but in the evenings they come and they play in the orchestra. And then they instill this love of music into their students and bring their students to play in the orchestra.
Oh, that's
so we have
really
students
neat.
as well. We have at least 2 architects in the orchestra, design engineer. For many years, this is Bremerton, we've had an underwater surveyor in the orchestra. Since the submarines need to know where they're going. You know.
How many days a week does it take, is rehearsal? How many days a week?
Generally, we do 2 rehearsals per week, except for concert week when we do 3.
So it's a big commitment.
It is.
To be in the symphony.
Right, it's
Yes.
many evenings over the course of a year, of course.
Right.
Yeah.
And these people are all volunteers. They're doing it for the love
Exactly,
of playing.
exactly.
Yes.
Nobody makes any money at all, other than Alan probably. Alan gets a paycheck.
There are 2 paid positions, mine is one, and the executive director.
And the
is other, of
executive
course,
director. So let's talk about how the longevity on the symphony. As we were getting ready tonight, I met a woman who's been on for quite a number of years. Give us some idea of the longevity and some folks that have just started.
Yeah,
Okay.
absolutely.
Well, as I say, there's quite a gamut, quite a different levels here. We have one person who's been on actually much more than 50 years. We have a number of people who've been playing more than 40 years. And then again, we have people who joined last month. We have auditions for the orchestra all the time. We're a military community. We have families that are rotated in all the time. Very often those service members are very good musicians or have spouses who are very good musicians. So we have auditions all the time throughout the year. If you're a great player and would like to play with the orchestra, please call us up, go to the website. We'd love to hear you play and put you right to work.
Wow.
So I've been asked, what's the average longevity? That's hard to say. Some are a month, have been here for a month, some have been here for more
40,
than half
50 years.
a century.
Wow.
So very
Wow.
interesting. In fact.
How about age range? What's the youngest player? Can you think of the youngest person?
Sure, the youngest person right now is 16 years old, as a student.
Wow.
Yep. And of course, that goes way up.
Yeah,
Person's been here for 50 years is older than that.
We don't want to talk about that.
But that's okay. It's what they do. It's the love of one's life to get out there and play wonderful music year in and year out.
Yeah, to be 16 years old and be in a symphony orchestra. That
And
is
playing with very, very experienced musicians.
and talented
Real.
musicians. That's really awesome. Anita, when we were preparing, you told me about the 4 components of the Bremerton Symphony.
Right.
Can you share those with us,
Sure.
please?
Yeah, there is, of course, there's the orchestra. That the whole Bremerton Symphony Association has 4 components. The orchestra is one, the symphony chorale is another, the BXYO, which is the Bremerton Youth Orchestra, is another one, and then the Bremerton Symphony League, which is a group of people who their main objective is to raise money and support the symphony in whatever way they can. So the Symphony League has about 30 members. BSYO, the young musicians, about 114 right now. So
Wow.
it's a wonderful youth
Wow, that's
gathering.
huge.
Yes. And then 65, I think, or so in the orchestra, and about 50 or so in the chorale.
55 maybe now.
55.
It's growing, actually.
Yeah, so it's a large group of musicians doing good work.
Yeah, that's really wonderful. And all those components are just all about making the orchestra successful and feeding the orchestra. Feeding with talent, that is. 140 young people in the Bremerton Youth Orchestra.
Well, and I think, and it's wonderful for the students too. I mean, I look at music really not as an end in itself, but as a way to look at culture and history and all those sorts of things. Our first concert, for example, is all about Russian history. Fascinating. It's all Russian music. And
What night is that? Let's talk about
that
some
will be
evenings.
October
nights.
18th, Saturday night, October 18th. We'll do some Tchaikovsky, of course. Mussorgsky, Pictures at an Exhibition. These are wonderful portraits of different facets of life in Europe and in Russia. Rachmaninoff. We have somebody who's really a treasure in Bremerton, and that is Deborah Florian, is our solo pianist. She is well known now, even on a national level. She, I believe, was vice president of the Music Teachers National Association. So she's getting a national reputation. She will be our soloist in the Rachmaninoff Second Piano Concerto.
And she's a Kitsap woman.
She's Kitsap, yes.
Nice, nice. So pretty much one concert a month, beginning in October, going through May.
May, exactly right.
And one concert a month. There are season tickets available, so you need to call the symphony office or go to the website, get that information.
Absolutely. I can give the phone number if you want to do it now.
Please, give us the phone number.
You can call the symphony office, that's 360, of course, 373-1722, or of course go to the website. I wanted to slip in one more thing about Russian music, which is
Please.
the Rachmaninoff is from the early days of psychoanalysis and all of that. Rachmaninoff had a block and couldn't compose. He was hypnotized by his doctor, who told him every week, day, and he would put him under hypnosis and say, "You will write a great concerto. It will be a big hit." And so he did. He listened to his doctor, unlike many of us, and wrote what became one of the great hits of the 20th century.
One of the wonderful things about going to the symphony, the Bremerton Symphony, is before each concert, Alan has a pre-concert lecture, and there's always wonderful little tidbits
anecdotes,
of
yeah.
information, and you do learn history, you learn about the music, but you also learn a lot of little interesting tidbits. That
And when are those
memorable.
held, Alan? Half an hour before, an hour before?
6:30.
6:30
Concerts are
p.m.
at 7:30, and at 6:30 is the pre-concert lecture. And I play lots of music. For example, for the Mussorgsky, it was picked up by Emerson, Lake and Palmer in the 70s, so I'll play a little rock and roll. And there's a Frank Sinatra tune based on the Rachmaninoff and all kinds of things.
Oh.
So this music actually continues to have a second life and a third life and a fourth life in different genres with younger and younger musicians. So it's kind of interesting.
That's awesome, really awesome. Anita, back to you. Let's talk about the board and the function of the board. First of all, how many members of the board for the symphony?
We have 16 board members, and then we have representatives from each of the 4 components, from the chorale, league, orchestra, and the league and the BSYO.
Excellent. How many members did you say there were? 16 board members.
Right.
What's the function of the board? Are you setting policy? Are you guiding the direction? What's the function?
Well, we're always setting policy, but our real function is to fulfill a mission of the symphony, of course, and then that means do strategic planning, define what success is for this symphony and this community. Be sure that we have the resources to provide for that success, and then always be looking toward the future for growth and what we can do to be innovative. There's a lot going on with orchestras now to get more out into community atmospheres and different audiences that are not traditional classical music audiences.
Correct. So bringing the music to the people.
Yes, that, and different genres, I mean, that are symphonic music, but interesting things for all ages, and there's a wonderful future ahead for all of us.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Alan, let's talk about the other concerts. In November, Made in America. Sounds like lots of fun.
A lot of great music from these shores. Some pieces are obvious, Leonard Bernstein, Aaron Copland. Some are not so obvious, like the shower scene from Psycho, a perennial favorite.
Oh, yeah. Oh, who wrote that one?
Bernard Herrmann is a wonderful, very underappreciated, very underappreciated composer. What would that movie be without Bernard Herrmann's music?
No kidding.
Of course, we have some Duke Ellington, some John Philip Sousa, so a whole gamut of American music. Around Christmas, of course, for the holidays, we'll do part of Handel's Messiah, but we'll also have a wonderful Tchaikovsky piano concerto. Should I run through the rest of the concerts? I think people can.
Sure. Yeah, and if you want one of these, you can go also to the website. It gives all the concert dates and the special guests, artists that are going to be appearing. But we also don't want to forget about the educational programs.
I was going to talk about
Number one was the pre-concert chat that Alan puts on, the youth orchestra we've heard about, orchestra concerts.
Right. We bring in something on the order of 1,500 students to what we call our orchestra concert. This is a concert specifically tailored to usually 4th graders, because that's the age when they start lessons in many schools. Really, this is the future. I always give lectures about education, that when you're teaching music, we used to think, it teaches people how to practice and they're diligent and set goals and all that. Now we know that music is the only discipline that really functions using both right and left brain and makes a connection between them. So we find out that the students who are studying music are always at the top of their classes in everything else too, whether it's chemistry or math or language arts or whatever it might be. So I'm always saying that when we educate students with music, we're also educating future leaders of our community.
Yeah,
because
awesome.
really, these are the kids who will do well. More and more studies are coming out showing this. So as a result, we're trying in our future to do many more educational concerts, to take these concerts out to the communities, not just in Bremerton, but maybe to Paulsbo, to Gig Harbor, to various other places. And we also have small groups that go into the schools, and we call that Class Act. If there are any teachers out there, if you'd like a small group to come and work with your classroom, you can call up the symphony office. We send people out every spring to do that.
Nice.
And work with a number of different classes in the schools.
Very good. And a young musicians competition. That sounds interesting.
Yes, we have a competition. It's open to basically anybody on any instrument, including, starting as of last year, vocal as well, vocalists. The winner or winners, we hope we have several wonderful young musicians, will get to actually perform with the symphony on our final concert of the season, which is May 9th. And
that's awesome.
We had an 11-year-old who played one of the hardest pieces of Gershwin, and she did a phenomenal performance last year. It was wonderful.
Wow. Wow.
Great talent.
So we're trying to gather the students as much as possible.
So maybe this is the year you discover the Bremerton Symphony. First concert, October 18th, and then there's one monthly through May.
After that.
You can catch smaller groups. They are posted on the Symphony website. You can check out the youth orchestra, the kids, what was that one? Orchestra.
Orchestra.
Very cute, very awesome.
I may come out as Darth Vader for the orchestra.
Oh, that's,
Since we're doing the planets.
oh, that would be.
And the youth orchestra itself has three
three
concerts
concerts.
of
There you-
their own, plus their fundraiser, which is Brunch with Bach
Brunch
in
with Bach,
January.
right,
The
right.
Symphony League has their own fundraiser called Vienna Gala, and that's in February. So there's lots going on all
Lots.
year long.
So call the Symphony office at 360-373-1722 or check their website, it's on your screen, and get the information that you need. Well, thanks so much.
Thank you very much.
And we're excited to
Star.
hear some of the symphony rehearsal. Anita, great job. Thanks for your
Thank
service to the board as
You're
well.
welcome.
And Alan,
My
thanks
pleasure.
for all your good work. We'll see you next time inside Bremerton.